Hello everybody, my name is Primacon. Silksong Fridays are upon us. Every day is Silksong Friday. But I wanted to make a video talking about how Silksong will be an improvement over Hollow Knight. And I'm not going to talk about things that I've already mentioned, like Silk Soul mode and everything else that I talked about in the other video. This is rather more about actual in-game improvements that will hugely benefit the gameplay loop of Hollow Knight. Also, I'm very close to 1,000 subscribers, so if you want to help out the channel, then a sub would be really appreciated. Let's get into it! Let's start with something very tangible. The fleas. So the fleas will be replacing the grubs in Hollow Knight. They were introduced during the riddles that Leth put out, which is like, what, 3 years ago now? 2 or 3 years ago? Where Team Cherry revealed some of the characters. One character that was revealed was the Caravan, or I guess characters, the Caravan, which have come to Farloom in search of something. Point is, they have little flea children that they thought would be a great idea to wander off into a haunted kingdom. Spoiler alert, they get fucking lost. Really didn't see that one coming. And so they end up like grubs from Hollow Knight, where Hornet has to find a bunch of fleas scattered throughout Farloom. What makes them better than the grubs though? The grubs were very numbingly mindless. The most interesting thing about the grubs were the mimic system, because later in the game, some grubs would be mimics rather than actual grubs. But other than that, every grub was the fucking same, and you just had to go back to the grub father to get a reward. Now I'm pretty sure after rescuing some of the fleas, if you go back to the caravan, they'll also give you a reward. But it's also said that these fleas are meant to carry little trinkets for Hornet. So this could range from a wide variety of things. This could be related to quests that she picks up from the quest log. This could be little items or tools that the fleas can carry. This could be rosary rewards. Anything and everything goes. But the point is, rescuing the fleas is said to be way more dynamic in Silksong than it was in Hollow Knight with the grubs. Maybe Fireborn will actually like the fleas, you never know. But yeah, as a fetch quest, the grubs were already working pretty well because they didn't annoy you. It wasn't like any other game where they give you a checklist of items to collect and you had to go out of your way to collect it. You just happened to come across them, you got decent rewards from them. But I'm really glad Team Cherry took that concept and pushed it just a little further. Which, as you'll see the theme with this video, they take a lot of things that didn't work very well with Hollow Knight or were just kind of neutral, and they're elevating it to the next level, which is another reason I'm really hyped for Silksong, among my 55 other reasons. Next up, scripted events. So Hollow Knight had a few scripted events, and even that's saying something because most of them were cutscenes. The only scripted event that I can think from Hollow Knight is when you enter the beast's den and those little things ask you to sit on a bench and then they surround you and fuck you up. But even that was more like an in-game cutscene. That wasn't interactable at all. So even calling that a scripted event is a bit of a stretch. But in Silksong, they're really taking notes from Ori and the Blind Forest, where they're adding these wacky chase scenes where lava is rising up and Hornet has to escape, or you enter an elevator and the elevator's crashing down. There's a lot of emphasis on platforming in Silksong, way more than Hollow Knight, because Hollow Knight's platforming was never fully explored. Not that it was too deep to begin with, but White Palace really showed how further that could be pushed. But with Hornet being super acrobatic, it's really fun that Team Cherry is realizing that potential and adding super hyper action-packed platforming sequences. I am really excited about this. They've only shown a couple, but I'm really curious to see what Team Cherry brings in with this thing, because Ori and the Blind Forest had those really cool boss fights where basically the whole boss fight was you would have this really long sequence where you have to perform this fucking pixel perfect jump maneuvers to get around the collapsing world or whatever and escape. And I'm really happy to see that come to Silksong because we really did not have anything like that in Hollow Knight. I just hope there's a cool way around it blocking items, because if there's an item that you can collect in that area and then it's permanently missed because a scripted event happened, that would really suck. Because one beautiful thing about Hollow Knight, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm forgetting something, but nothing in Hollow Knight is missable. That's the fucking beauty of it, because when I was playing Elden Ring recently, I had to platinum it, and I had this fucking big guide open in front of me because some of the achievements in Elden Ring were just completely missable. Now I know there's achievements in Hollow Knight that you can either pick one or the other in one playthrough, but that's not really missable content, that's just player choice throughout their playthrough to control the narrative. What's my point here? My point here is, if there's a fucking cool ass tool hidden behind a breakable wall, I don't want that section to be permanently closed off because of a rising lava event and then inaccessible to the player later on. But I'm sure Team Cherry will not do that. Speaking of tools, let's talk about tools. I'm a tool. So in my last video, I mentioned crests, but one detail I forgot to mention was tools themselves have different types. So in Hollow Knight, charms had charm notches which made you, ration them out. Like Quick Slash, for example, was 2 charm notches, and then they had to nerf it to 3 because for 2 notches you were getting way too much value. Which some people still have that 2 fucking notch Quick Slash. I'm really jealous of that. But in Silksong, they're doing something completely new. Instead of having tool notches, I don't know if there are tool notches, I don't think so, they might add them, but they're also tool classes, and each crest has a different amount of tool class that you can put on. So for example, some crests may have 3 red slots and no yellow slots, some may have 2 blue and 1 yellow and no red slots. And we're not really sure what these color coordinations mean, but it's a pretty easy guess in my opinion. Like red would be, for example, combat tools, maybe blue is defensive, and yellow is utility, things like that. So not only will your crest change your complete playstyle like I mentioned in the last video, but it also affects not only the amount of tools you can pick, but also what kind. Imagine there's 2 crests that work very differently with very different abilities, and they both have, say, 6 slots for tools, right? But one of them have like 4 red and 1 yellow and 1 blue, and the other is more balanced out. So that's another player choice that you have to make. I really like this. More complexity is always better for the player in long term. Yes, it might be a little complicated to learn at first, but later down the line, it gives you a lot more tools to play with. Ha! Tools. Hey everyone, editing Primacon here. Another point I forgot to mention real quick was co-op boss fights. We have never really had co-op boss fights in Hollow Knight before. It's always just you fighting with other enemies, but like they've shown off in trailers, like with Garmin and Zaza, you can get these Wayfarer quests which allow you to fight with NPCs alongside you. And I just think that's really cool and will bring a lot more depth to Silksong. Editing Primacon, out. The Bell Beast. Let's talk about the Bell Beast. I love the stag, okay? I love the stag, I love the stag network, I love the fucking lore behind it. When you're at Queen Station and you can hear hushed whispers of past passengers and the bustling station that it used to be. Queen Station ambience is fucking amazing, and the stag adds so much to it. The stag network was fabulous. With Silksong, they're doing something different. Instead of having a stag, aka a civilized, tamed creature that's gonna taxi you around, Hornet has to tame a beast. In Silksong, we have Bell Beast, which is this fucking isopod looking thing. I fucking hate that because it triggers a form of phobia in me. I hate like critters that look like cockroaches and isopods. Oh my god, that like make me want to die inside. So I probably won't like this as much as this last stag, aesthetically speaking. But it's really cool that you have to fight that thing and then tame it. And who's to say that that's the only interaction you'll have with it outside travel, right? What if it keeps going fucking feral on you every now and then? What if it unexpectedly transforms? The possibilities are endless, and I feel like that's something Team Cherry will vastly improve upon, as they've already told us that we're gonna have to fight the Bell Beast to tame it. And I just don't think that that's all that's gonna be there to it. I feel like that's just a little bit of tease that they're giving us. And finally, I wanted to talk about some quality of life changes. If you all noticed, it was a kind of a joke when the Xbox trailer came out, but the fact that there were no elevators, I don't mean the giant crashing elevators, I mean the little ones that take you up and down an area that you're going to be traveling a lot. For those of you who are familiar with Hollow Knight, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of people had problems with City of Tears elevators. They were slow. If you accidentally hit a lever and you call the elevator up or down or made it go away, you would have to stand there and wait. Overall, they added more frustration to the player than they added gameplay benefit. While I personally was a really big fan, because I prefer aesthetics and lore over some minor gameplay problems, it ticked a lot of people off wrong. With Hollow Knight Silksong, Team Cherry is including a lot more freedom when it comes to verticality. Like, they showed off these vertical jet streams that Hornet can ride up anytime and can jump off anytime. Not only do these things alleviate a lot of player stress, it helps in speedrunning, it helps save players time. And with things like zip lines and jet streams and Hornet's acrobatic gameplay, I feel like this is a gripe Team Cherry is going to address really well. Which is a very good sign, because it's not a very vocal complaint. It's not something very vastly known across the player base, in my opinion. Not many people talk about it, but still Team Cherry is addressing it, which is such a good sign. Anyways, I just wanted to talk about the last few things that really excite me about Silksong. We are approaching ever so close to February and to that fabled and treasured 14th February date. God, I really hope we get some news. I'm so excited and I'm gonna cover it. That's it for this video. Watch out for some Oxygen Not Included gameplay later today, hopefully. If not today, then tomorrow. But that's it for me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace out.